a freaking micro HDMI port in 2022 Canon. What are y'all doing? Who decided that this was a good idea? What's up, y'all? Tight Shirt Terry Warfield back in the building. Hey, I hope you're having a great day so far. Hey, shout out to the squad, 40K subscribers, man. I appreciate y'all so much. Make sure you be thankful for your life today because you didn't have to have that. On with the meat potatoes first. Let me take a sip of that Canon tea. That's good. That's good. Hey, Sony users, y'all about to be real mad at me because I'm going to be honest. The EOS R6 Mark II might be the camera to finally dethrone, in my opinion, the best valued full-frame mid-tier mirrorless camera for hybrid shooters on the market. The R6 Mark II might be the camera to do that. Now, a lot of y'all know how much I love my Sony A7 IV. I freaking love this thing. It is one of my favorite cameras ever made, but I've always been intrigued by Canon cameras, especially the R6 because of the price point. In fact, I did a whole saga on this channel comparing the two. I'll leave that right up there. But the long and short of it was I love the R6 for what it represented. I love the ease of use, the menu system, the layout, how the camera sort of just thinks forward for you in comparison to Sony cameras. However, there were so many things missing on that freaking camera that I just could not recommend it over the Sony A7 IV unless you were a sports photographer, because the Sony A7 IV is trash when it comes to like burst shooting. So yeah, the R6 is not trash, but neither here nor there. I got to give a huge shout out to Canon. Matter of fact, let's give Canon some freaking hand claps. Bravo, Canon. Y'all have finally listened to y'all consumers. And I mean, y'all have been for the last few cameras, but on the R6 Mark II specifically, I applaud y'all because y'all listened to pretty much every single thing that we said about the EOS R6. And I got tongue twister right there. I ain't going back to say it again, but y'all fixed the majority of those things. And that is so dope. And what's even more dope is y'all kept the price point at a respectable $24.99. Oh, same price as the A7 IV. So, Canon, I applaud y'all for coming through, swinging, firing on all cylinders, and let the camera wars begin. Camera wars are great for the end consumer because we reap the benefits. So I didn't get a review unit for the R6 Mark II. Wasn't cool enough. Canon, hey, I need a review unit, y'all, but I did watch pretty much every freaking video on YouTube about the R6 Mark II, and I have some opinions. Now, I think it's important to say the R6 Mark IIs that are out there are pre-release firmware, so some of the things I am going to say may potentially change as firmware gets updated, but I have some notables, some things I really want to discuss. I have it right here on my handy dandy freaking iPhone. And I'm not going to go in any particular order, just things that really, in my opinion, stood out. So shout out to Canon for bringing a freaking photo and video switch. That was one of my main complaints with the R6, that there was no easy way to flip back and forth between photo and video like the A7 IV, which has the freaking switch. Now Canon has the freaking switch on it to go quickly back and forth between photo and video. And for hybrid shooters like me, that is such a dream, okay? Now, they came out with a new sensor. Y'all was expecting the sensor from another camera. No, Canon said we giving y'all some new stuff. 24 megapixels, front side illuminated, not stacked. And the reason I'm saying that is because some of the things that Canon has been able to do with this new sensor are freaking like witchcraft, okay? Anyways, 24 megapixels, I'm cool with. It is a sweet spot. It offers low light performance. It's a mix of great resolution, not too big file sizes, plus gives you the ability to oversample 4K, all that good stuff. 24 megapixels on the R6 Mark II. However, A7 IV is 33 megapixels, which it is a huge difference between 24 and 33. The extra resolution really lends itself with the A7 Fizzy for the extra room to recomp. I also have always found that Sony cameras offer a little bit more dynamic range when it comes to raw photos, but we'll talk about that in 1 second. The star of the show with the R6 Mark II is the ability to shoot 40 frames per freaking second in photo. Electronic, 12-bit, but still 40 frames per second with full tracking, full freaking autofocus. What? How are y'all doing this, Canon? The sensor ain't stacked. It's front side illuminated. What type of wizardry are y'all using to pull this off? Please tell us, because it's fantastic. Now, the videos that I've watched, and I watched all of them, the autofocus is fantastic. In fact, I'm going to bring up the A7R5 in this case because I just left New York last week to test that camera out. And honestly, I feel like the R6 Mark II is equivalent when it comes to autofocus as the $4,000 A7R5. Way better, in my opinion, than from what I've seen than A7 IV, which is no slouch, by the way. But the autofocus is crazy. So to be able to do 40 frames a second with full autofocus tracking and all that stuff, to me is absolutely bananas. Now, I don't know if I said this already, but I did see some bugginess when it comes to subject detection and stuff like that. But again, it is pre-release software. But one thing I love about the R6 Mark II is that the subject selection is freaking automatic. Sony, when are y'all gonna do that? I was in New York with the A7R5, literally having to flip through which type of subject I wanted to track as the boat was passing by. Like the R6 Mark II would have done that automatically. So props to Canon for putting a superior autofocus system in the R6 Mark II at a price point of $2,500, because that is freaking huge. Now, the one thing I did notice is the roll and shutter performance when using the 40 FPS is, I mean, it's there, it's expected, but just something to be mindful over. If you don't like that, don't use freaking 40 frames per second. But for sports shooters, it's game changing. So that W absolutely goes to the R6 Mark II, hands down, without question. Canon also brought a lot of new software trickery, which I'm not about to sit here and go through every single freaking one of them. But some notables for me were they brought out breathing compensation. They brought out false color, which is crazy on a camera that's not even a film camera. So all of those things are in there. You could do that new pre-shooting thing where the camera's always rolling and you get to pick the images after. Just crazy stuff, okay? Now, they stuck the dual card slots, SD cards, where the A7 IV has dual slots, but one of them is CF Express Type A. I would have thought that Canon would have brought it up to snuff, but it is what it is. It's still cool. Dual card slots is never a bad thing. Now, I want to talk about video real quick, because I still think the A7 IV is the better camera for video. Let's start with the elephant in the room, Canon. All of these other fantastic upgrades y'all gave to the R6 Mark II, it is literally a game-changing camera. And y'all still put a freaking micro HDMI port. Like, why? Please explain to me why. I don't get it. So you want to advertise 6K RAW, which the A7 IV can't do. Let's be fair. 6K RAW over HDMI, 3.7K RAW over HDMI, and Super 35. But you put a freaking micro HDMI port on it. Please, like, nobody wants it. Okay, I'm gonna speak for the people. Nobody wants that freaking port. Please do not make another camera, Canon, with the freaking micro HDMI port on there, okay? Now that that's out the way, Sony, we mad at y'all too, because the R6 Mark II does 4K 60 with no crops, bruh. Sony, don't put another camera out with a 4K 60 crop. Don't do it. We don't want that, okay? So first of all, no more record limit. Thank you, Canon, for finally doing what everybody else has been doing for the last 8 years, but I digress, okay? Overheating seems to be well controlled from what I've seen, and Canon is now giving us a bunch of different modes, which is great. And all of these different modes, like 4K 30, 4K 60, 1080p, 180 frames per second, all come with the full autofocus tracking and all of that stuff. But what I don't understand, Canon, is why we can't shoot 10-bit 422 in any other mode except for freaking C-Log. That doesn't make sense to me. So I got to give the W in that respect to the A7 IV, because the A7 IV really gives you video except for 4K 60 with a crop, because y'all shouldn't be doing that, but the rest of it pretty much without compromise. So on the R6 Mark II, all of the video modes are IPB. On the A7 IV, you could do all intra, you could do IPB, you could do 8-bit, 10-bit, 422, 420, in any video mode, any video codec, any container, any gamma curve. And that is freaking huge. So I don't have to use S-Log 2 or 3 on my A7 IV. I'm losing my voice. Excuse me. I don't have to pick that stuff to get access to those features in the A7 IV, which is huge. I still got to give the nod to the A7 IV when it comes to video, but I'm not saying that the R6 Mark II would not be a fantastic option, because it is a lot better than the R6 was when it comes to video. The 4K roll and shutter seems about equal on both in 4K 24. It's not the A7 IV strong suit. From what I've seen, it's not the R6 Mark II strong suit. It's a lot of downsampling going on from higher data rates, higher resolutions. It's to be expected. The R6 Mark II's low light performance is fantastic, just like the A7R4's is. Canon did give us a new hot shoe. So the A7 IV has like this multi-interface shoe where you can connect digital sound accessories and all that. Now you can do that on Canon too, so shout out to Canon. And if I'm missing anything, Oh, there is some built-in features like the A7R5 has, like built-in camera bracket and all. Listen, we done with the nerdy stuff, okay? Shout out to Canon for bringing the R6 Mark II up to snuff with the A7 IV. I don't think you could go wrong with either camera. Both of them have strengths. Both of them have weaknesses. I just think it's great that we get competition now and that Canon finally brought their cameras without real cripples to the market, and I'm so pumped about that. I'm also curious to see what Canon is going to do for the newer cameras, because like Sony, what I hope is all of these updates trickle down. Now, there's one thing I didn't talk about, and that is lenses. And that is a huge thing for me, okay? Sony lenses, there's literally 40,342 lenses available for you to use, okay? Canon cameras, there's like 14. And that's because Canon will not allow third-party support like Tamron, Sigma for RF mount, which then equals you gotta go pay out the wazoo for these RF lenses, which are crazy expensive. So Sony still gets the W for that, but aside from those things, I think the two cameras are pretty much evenly killed. I think the R6 Mark II seems to be the better choice for sports photographers, hybrid shooters who, I should say, have a heavy emphasis on sports photography. And the A7 IV seems like a more just traditional all-around camera, great lens selection to choose from. Can't go wrong with either of them. Big shout out to Canon. Big shout out to Sony over here. Hey, Canon, send your boy review units since I wasn't cool enough, and I think I'm done talking and losing my voice. So, curious to know what y'all think. I will be reading y'all comments down below, so make sure you drop one. Until next time, I'm out of here. Tight shirt, Terry Warfield. Peace and chicories. I'm out. Talk to y'all later. Love y'all. Peace.